Meta AI is the personal AI that's tailored to you, now with its very own app. It's built to get to know you, offering helpful answers and inspiration. Looking for something to add to your bucket list? Meta AI goes beyond traveling the world. It remembers you're a basketball fanatic and suggests you attend one of the playoff games. Just start typing or speaking to get the answers you need, wherever and whenever, because Meta AI is your personal AI. Download the Meta AI app, now available on the Apple App Store and Google Play.
Now, it's Everything is Golden
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Here is your host, James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley.
Randy, let's get started. I want to ask you first things first, Randy. BTO will be performing at the St. George Theater in Staten Island, New York on September 20th. Yeah, it sounds exciting. You better get your tickets now, because you know this is going to be a sold-out performance. Randy, I remember the first time I heard BTO. And it was, you guys had just had an amazing, successful single. I heard about it from a black radio disc jockey. And they just raving about, you got to hear this new group, BTO. You got to hear them. So I did. And the music, of course, blew everybody's mind. That speaks to the wide appeal that your music has generated. You cross over into every level of commercial success that there is. Did that come as some surprise to you, how widespread the appeal was for your music?
Well, when you're trying to make it, and after my big success with the Guess Who, which is, pretty tough to top, because when I left, we were number one American Woman album and single in the world. I tried everything to not be the second-rate Guess Who, so I tried all kind of different influences in my music. I did country rock for 2 years, which Neil Young helped me with. The band was called Brave Belt. We had a pedal steel and a fiddle, and we were a lot like Buffalo Springfield or Poco. That didn't work. And we're trying to get, as you know, you're trying to get people off their seats and dancing. And I would hear what's dancing music on the radio, which would be Creedence Clearwater. It would be Sly and the Family Stone. It would, Get Up and Dance kind of thing. It would be the Rolling Stones, Brown Sugar and songs like that got everybody up dancing. And so we switched and started to play more, heavier country rock. And my first guitar mentor was a jazz guy, and I started to throw in jazz chords just to be different, just to get noticed. And then suddenly you have a hit record, and people are saying, gee, you're in Let It Ride or some of your songs with BTO, it's the first minor ninth, seventh chord we've ever heard. And I said, I didn't know what these chords were called. I just played them out of my head. So our songs had a lot of jazz in it, a lot of country things, but basically we go to what I saw every Saturday morning on American Bandstand when they would vote for the record. They say, it's got a great beat, you can dance to it, and you can sing along to it. That's what I went for in every single song.
Wow. Yeah, it's so funny. I just saw an interview with a very good friend of mine, Omar Hakim, the drummer, did so much work. And one of the things he said early on in life, you learn, don't lose the dance floor. You cannot lose the dance floor if you're going to have the kind of success that many people want. But you mentioned your time with the Guess Who, and you left at the height of success. Everything that I have read about that, the experience that you had, says that you left because it was an incompatible sort of lifestyle situation. Your values. You mentioned that there was an intervening period before you saw success on that level. In fact, it surpassed that level. But at the time you left, you couldn't know what the future held. That's a special kind of courage. Talk to us about that. Did you ever have one of those what did I do moments afterwards?
Yes, but I was bound by medical. What topped this all off? Like when you're in a band or any relationship, you're on a team, you're in a marriage, you're in a family, things come up and maybe they're not big enough to leave. But when the doctor says you need an operation, you need to do this, or you're going to die. It changes your direction. And I had a gallbladder issue, and I was on the road. And after when you're a musician or an athlete, you don't usually eat a lot before the gig. You eat after the gig because you can't be there with a full stomach, right, digesting. So after the gig, we go, and those are the days you went out to a truck stop and had greasy cheeseburgers and all that kind of stuff. And every single night on the road, I'd have a gallbladder attack, and I didn't know what it was. It was just a big pain right in the middle of your chest, right below your chest bone. And it's like somebody putting in a knife and turning it, and you're throwing up blood, and you're in this terrible pain. This happened every night on the road. So I had 4 days off. I flew home to Winnipeg because I couldn't get medical treatment on the road in an emergency hospital. And when I went home to Winnipeg to the doctor who basically gave birth to me many years before, he said, "Oh, you've got about 22 gallstones, and you need an operation to take your gallbladder out or get the gallstones out. So eat this for the next 3 months." And he scheduled my operation for 3 months away. And all I could eat was skim milk, sugarless Jell-O, and saltine crackers and a piece of lettuce, for 3 months. And I said, well, the last gig I want to play with my band, I've got to go tell the band I've got to leave the band. And we had gone from $750 a night when American Woman hit big. We went to 10 and 12,000 a night, and we were 40 or 50 grand in the hole. Back in 1970, that was a lot of money. And I had to go. I went to the band and said, "Look, I've got to go home. Dr. Snyder, he put me in the hospital. I wanted the strict thing. I'll come back and play the Fillmore." So I went back and played the Fillmore East in New York. It was my last gig with the Guess Who in May of 1970. And after that, I went home. I didn't know what I was going to do. I sat around. I'd left the top band in the world, the number one album and single. Everyone said I was stupid and crazy. And I was a little stupid and crazy because when you're facing an issue and you don't know what it is, like when I was on the road having gallbladder attacks, I didn't know what it was. I thought I was dying. My roadie would take me to the hospital every single night. So that kind of made it all happen. Plus, I decided long before that, and in my lifetime to this point, I have never smoked. I've never drank caffeine. I've never done any drugs. I drank once for a year, and I quit when I was about 22, and I haven't had a drink since then. So this was the late 60s. The band was into party mode. I was into not. Every night after the gig, I'd go read the Bible to keep me strong and not get into the party thing. And I didn't, and I didn't do any of that. So I knew I could make it in this business being straight. They're all said, and I could never make it without being high and all that stuff. And I made it really big time without ever being high because I got high on the music and the energy and the joy of seeing people's faces and getting up and dancing to whatever music I was making.
That is really incredible. Of course, that was the beginning of what became the psychedelic era, and you mentioned Sly and the Family Stone. I remember I remember at the height of his success, he would miss gigs. He would not show up, and other things. Not to pick on him, because I love Sly from the first album on. But and then you look at the 27 Club. So many great musicians have left because of the indulgences in drugs. And it's not just, of course, rock. You look through jazz all the way back, Charlie Parker and all the rest of it. So this decision of yours to actually stay strong with your lifestyle, with your beliefs, it's more than a lifestyle. It's your beliefs. Have you ever had any doubt or anything that there are so many temptations out there when you're living the life of the rock star? Was that always a choice that was just natural? Was it easy for you? You mentioned you read the Bible. Was it faith inspired?
Well, a little bit of everything. A lot of it was fear, because I would go to a party with a bunch of guys who were my buddies, and it might have been Led Zeppelin. It might have been 10 years after. It might have been the Jefferson Airplane. It was Sly and the Family Stone. I was there when he missed a lot of gigs. We did a lot of gigs with Sly back in the late 60s. And you see this guy who been hours before was on stage rocking the whole world, and then you see him in a party slumped in the corner, and he's done this to himself. He can't move or hardly breathe, and they have to resuscitate the guy or take him to the hospital. And it's like, you see these guys self-punishing themselves or ODing or taking acid and jumping out of a window thinking they could fly and jumping out of a window and landing on a phone booth 3 stories below them, breaking their legs. You see this happen, you're terrified. When somebody hand me something and say, try this, man, I would take it and throw it away. You know, I wouldn't even take a drink at a party because people would spike your drinks there with acid and stuff. So I'd go to a party, I'd be Mr. Nice Guy, I'd say hi to everybody because basically I was a leader of the Guess Who and a PTO. And I'd go and say hi to everybody. And as the party got on and all the stuff came out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd say goodbye to everybody. I'd go home. And because we didn't have a manager and I was a band leader, I would get paid every night. I would go to my room, like I said, read the Bible, do something to keep me strong, count the money, prepare the bank statement, get up the next day, go to the bank. There was no internet then. You had to go to the bank with money. I would have a paper bag with dollar bills that I've counted out and put in little stacks of hundreds and go deposit it in the bank to pay. We had one credit card that was an Esso Standard Oil credit card to pay our gas bill. And so I did that every morning. I'd go back and wake up the band. We would drive to the next gig, and I kind of became the machine that kind of kept the whole thing going because everybody else would be hung over. I don't think in my life I've ever been hung over.
Wow.
It's a real privilege to be able to travel and to see different places, taking yourself out of comfortable positions and challenging yourself.
No one builds a legacy by standing still. Start your journey at remova.com.
What's worse than an ad interrupting your favorite music or podcast? That uninspired coffee you've been drinking while working, which is why Flavia is elevating your everyday coffee experience. Now you can enjoy cafe-quality beverages like coffee, tea, frothy lattes, and creamy hot chocolate made right in your home office, actual office, or wherever you want to upgrade your mug with bold, delicious flavors. Visit Flavia.com to shop the collection of machines and beverages now.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
All right, you swerved into something else, the business. Look, I would love to just spend time talking with you about the music, but there's so much there in your life history and the business of music. You could not possibly have known what you were in for at the beginning of this, in terms of the legal challenges that come up regarding the name BTO, the experience that you've had. How important is it for younger musicians, for people who think this is what they want to do, to study the business and learn the business of music?
Well, you just hit upon the most important thing in the world. You can't do sports or music or acting or anything. You can't make a dollar without learning why you're getting that dollar and why is somebody else getting $99 and you're only getting $1 out of the $100 earned. Sooner or later, you've got to learn that, and the sooner you learn it, the better off you will be. And you have to say no, learn to say the magic word NO to deals. You might wait 10 years for a deal, and when it comes in and it's not right, you've got to have enough balls to say no. And not take that $1 out of the 100 and then try to live off that, and then you regret the decision you've made. There was many, many times when I was together with both bands. We get into a situation, and we've been together starving and living in one hotel room or living in your Econoline van as you're driving, sleeping in the van in Canada in the wintertime, freezing, that you get into a situation where somebody offers you, quote, a great deal, which is not really a great deal. We would just look at each other and say, thank you very much, and walk out of the room. We wouldn't even have to discuss it. We had to wait for the right deal. And even then, we made all the wrong deals. but it's like an election. You try to vote for the least jerk of a guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you try to take the best of the bad deals and keep going and keep paying your bills. And if you do not give up and you have faith in yourself and your talent, sooner or later you will make it. And I've said to many people, there's 3 most important days in your life: the day you are born, the day you know why you were born, to be a doctor, a caregiver, a musician. Do you know what I mean? To be to be what you were born to be, and today, because you woke up God's given you another day. You're alive again. You know why you were born. You know your purpose of being born, your purpose in the world, and you're alive another day to fulfill that purpose.
Wow. Now, as I understand it, you're in Toronto for the International Film Festival there. There's a new documentary. There's a new documentary on BTO, and you have been reunited with a prized guitar. Tell us about that.
Well, way back, as I was saying, when I was learning to play guitar, I played classical violin from the age of 5 to 14. And it was like Royal Conservatory. You had to stand a certain way. You're playing Beethoven and Tchaikovsky and Chopin and all this kind of stuff. And it was very restrictive for a kid because I would get picked on in my neighborhood where I grew up, where everybody's out playing football. And every Saturday morning, I'd have my little violin under my arm, taking the bus to my violin lesson. And then when I saw Elvis on TV when I was 14, I said, "What is that?" They said, "Oh, that's called a guitar. That's called Elvis Presley. That's called rock and roll." And I said, "I want to do that. It's wild. It's crazy." Because classical music is not wild and crazy. You got to stand a certain way and play every note on the page perfectly. And I could see rock and roll was it was more fun, and it was stupid, and it was fooling around and goofing around. And I started to do that. And it made a big influence on my life and basically what I was doing. And it changed my whole direction.
So this Gretsch guitar, this was one of your first guitars?
The first guitar I bought that I babysat. I had a newspaper route. I washed cars in a car wash. I saved the money. I bought this Gretsch guitar. I didn't know it was orange at the time because it was black and white TV. I'd see it on American Bandstand. And Dwayne Eddy played one. Eddie Cochran played one. Chuck Berry played one. Chet Atkins played one. And when I saw this guitar, I fell in love with it. The other guy who fell in love with it was Neil Young. We both would go and look at this guitar in the window of Winnipeg Piano every Saturday and ask if we could go in and play it. And the guy wouldn't let us play it because we were 14 years of age. We didn't have any money. I got enough money to buy it. The next one that came in, he bought it. He still got his. So I learned to play on this guitar, and I wrote "These Eyes Laughing, She's Come Undone, American Woman, No Time, No Sugar, Let It Ride, Taking Care of Business, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet." And I played them on the records. And in 1976, the guitar was stolen from my hotel room in Toronto. And it took 48 years to get it back. I tried and couldn't find it. Finally, I gave up. And when COVID came, there was no gigs. My son Tal and I, who's now in BTO with me because my brothers passed away during COVID, we started to do Friday night train wrecks. We would go on the internet, on YouTube every Friday and goof around with 2 guitars, kind of like Wayne's World. And we'd goof around with each other and try to stump each other playing songs. On one of those broadcasts, up at the side of when you're doing a live YouTube, the side of the screen is black, and people type in little sentences saying, "Bad hair day, buddy," or "nice pants," or something like that. And one of them said, we found your lost guitar." And I said to Tal, "Call this guy." And he put his contact there. So he called this guy. He had been out of work too. He was in his basement on his computer all the time, and he knew I had lost this Gretsch guitar. So he Googled BTO, looking up for number one, which is the last time I played that song. There was a video on YouTube. You can Google that now, BTO, looking out for number one. And I'm playing that guitar. And he took a few pictures of it, and then he went on the internet, did facial recognition of every orange Gretsch guitar sold in the last 20 years at every store in the world, because now there's computer and everything's on the computer. And he sent me this YouTube of a guy playing my guitar in Japan 3 Christmases ago, and the guy can't even speak English. He sings in English phonetically, and he's kind of like the Japanese Brian Setzer, and his name was Takeshi. and he's singing, rocking around the Christmas tree. And I look at this Zoom, and it's my orange Gretsch guitar. And I can tell it's mine because of the grain on it, and the guy's had facial recognition on it. And so I try to get a hold of this guy, and I can't. But my daughter-in-law is my son Tal, married a Japanese beautiful lady who now is my personal assistant. She's right here next door to me here in the hotel. And so she gets a hold of this guy in Japan, sets up a Zoom. Takeshi comes on the screen. He's got my guitar. I can't even speak. I'm in tears. This is my guitar I've searched for 48 years. And I proved to him it's my guitar. And then we decide to do a switch. And I can't go to Japan and get it because of COVID. And I can't even leave Canada. Nobody can fly anywhere. And so I have to wait. We wait 2 years. And then we go to Japan. And meanwhile, we start to film this thing because it's fun. And we're doing Zooms anyway. So and we're doing YouTube. So everything's been filmed. So now all this has been put together as a documentary. And in the middle of the documentary, this is really weird. While this was happening, because this took like 5 or 6 years to happen, we have the whole thing filmed because it was exciting to us, and we were doing YouTube, so we have all of that stuff. In the middle of it all, I had double pneumonia, whooping cough, double COVID back to back, and then 4 cancers.
Oh,
and they gave me 2 to 4 weeks to live. And this is 2 Christmases ago. On Christmas Eve, I get 2 to 4 weeks to live. And I say, F this. Cancer is not staying in this house long. It's an unwelcome visitor. It'll stay the weekend. It's gone. I fought it with Coco helping me, who's my daughter-in-law, the Japanese one, became my nurse. My son Tal came and saved my life. And I lost my brothers, but I got BTO back. Tal is now in the band. We are totally rocking in the free world. When we do a concert, it is so full of joy that I've got these couple of dozen songs to play for people. Last night, a few hours ago, Tal and I went in Toronto to see Jeff Lynne, who's an old buddy of mine, Electric Light Orchestra. 90 minutes with about 25 hit songs. I sat there with the audience singing, and people tapped me on the shoulder. They said, "Do you realize when you do a show, it's just like this?" And I was in tears. The people sing every word of every song, and they're up dancing and screaming. And after every song last night, Jeff Lynne had a standing ovation. He would do Strange Magic. He would do, Out of the Blue. He would do all these incredible songs. Don't Bring Me Down. Everybody was up singing and dancing. Tens of thousands of people. It was absolutely amazing. But I'm doing selfies in the crowd. I'm trying to hide out, but people recognize me because I'm at the Toronto Film Festival, and my pictures, I'm on TV here all over the place. They just said, when we're at a concert of yours, it's the same thing. And I really felt touched. It's like being in church. Everybody's singing the same song. And there's a collective consciousness of everybody's mind when you hit that song that everybody knows. And I'm so grateful that I've got these songs. So when I'm playing there on tour now, believe me, I don't leave out any Guess Who songs either. I'm very proud of that. That was my high school years, and then my college years was BTO. So I'm very proud to be part of these 2 great Canadian bands, both out of Winnipeg, back to back, with a lot of my family and friends and brothers. And so when I do a show, it's kind of like traveling through time from the early Guess Who. We went to New York to record at Scepter Studios and all that stuff there, and then writing These Eyes, and with Burton Cummington, and then starting BTO. So people will get a timeline, and the whole thing is backed up visually because we've got video of this whole thing. So when we're at the theater there, when we're playing there, the gig we're talking about, people actually, it's a multimedia presentation. I'm playing the stories. I'm telling how I wrote the songs, why I wrote the songs. It's on the screen behind me with all old videos and still pictures and everything. And it's it's an involved experience. It's multi-sensory.
Okay, that date, by the way, again, folks, September 20th, the St. George Theater in Staten Island, New York. This is a must see. I met your son and I met your daughter-in-law. They were out with Mark Stein, one of my good friends. And your son, Yeah, man. And Tal is amazing. He's an amazing musician. Your daughter-in-law is incredibly sweet and wonderful. So lucky you. And Tal, what is it like playing with your son, man? That has to be just a highlight of your life.
It is. I would grow up and I would look at trucks that went by me that would say Smith and Son plumbers, Jones and Son carpenters, and you always envision that, but you don't ever think it's really going to happen. But all of his life, whenever I've had a problem in my band, and there's a picture of me now promoting this movie, this documentary, which is called Taking Care of Business. They retitled it. Of me sitting there with a guitar and a little child sitting at my feet. That's Tal. He's 2 years old, sitting there with headphones on, and it's me with that Gretsch guitar. And whenever he'd been in college or whatever he was doing, I would call him and say, "Hey, Tal, I really need you." "What do you need, Dad?" "Well, my drummer broke his leg. He was riding a motorcycle and had a crash and broke his leg. Can you come and play drums?" "Okay." And he would leave college and come and play drums. Then I'd say, "Hey, I need you to play guitar. I hurt my left arm. I can't play solos anymore. My whole left arm is numb." "Yeah, I'll come and play guitar." And so him being in the band is so normal. He grew up with my brothers. And my brother Robbie taught him to play drums, so he played just like Robbie in PTO. Even though he doesn't drum with me now, he's up there playing and singing guitar. He is the ultimate musician. He's better than I ever was or ever have been. And it's great to have him beside me. Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's just incredible. Well, once again, folks, Staten Island on September 20th. You are an icon. Your group is an icon. Both groups are, but just to go through, you have over 120 gold, platinum albums, singles awards, all of that. You have sold over 40 million records. Did you, when you were beginning your career, did you ever envision any of this? Did you... How do you look back on this now and reflect on this incredible life of music that you have lived and are living? It ain't over. You're still taking care of business.
Yeah, you're right. Yogi Berra said it ain't over till it's over. And it ain't over for a long time. I really feel rejuvenated. I feel grateful every day to wake up. Believe me, when you've been given 2 to 4 weeks to live, and then 5 years later, you're still alive, it's pretty damn good. And to go out and have the joy every night of playing these songs, which as a kid, you write one song, you played with a bunch of buddies in a band, you try to make a record, you hope it gets played on one radio station, and when it does, you just sit there and cry that you're on the radio. And to have it, to hear it 50 years later, all the songs, everywhere, literally everywhere, is just amazing. And it was a really phenomenal thing, like I said, seeing ELO last night and realizing this is the same, and sitting in the audience just with everybody else. This is what everybody else feels when they're at one of my concerts. And we look out there and there's people dancing and singing and standing ovations all the time. And I saw Sting on TV many months ago, and he was interviewed. They said to him, "Okay, Sting, Gordon, what is it about your music? What is it about this thing that is now happening? There's a renaissance around the world of classic rock." And he said, "Let me ask you one thing, and I'll ask you this. What were you doing 10 years ago right now? You have no idea. What were you doing 20 years ago today? You have no idea. But what were you doing the first time you heard I Want to Take You Higher by Sly and the Family Stone?
Yes.
What were you doing the first time you heard Don't Be Cruel by Elvis? When you heard She Loves You? What were you doing? You go right back to that time. And that when you play all these songs, it takes people back to happier days. So nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. We're grateful to be alive today. And from yesterday back is the good old days. And this music reminds us of the good old days, no matter if the song is 1 month or 1 year or 10 years or 30 years old. It reminds you of happier times. And, it's happy days.
Wow. Randy Bachman, you have been so generous with your time. I so appreciate it. I so appreciate this perspective that you have on life. It is a joyful, happy perspective. And you have been through the hills, you've been through the valleys. and yet you maintain this joy, this inner joy that just it comes out in the music, and but the music comes out of your life. And that's where the origin of this is, this whole spirit that is, I think it's almost indescribable. And so I'm looking forward to this BTO revitalized, back on the road. And I just wish you continued success as you go through. Please give my best to Tal and to your daughter-in-law. It's just so great to have a chance to speak with you, Randy.
Thank you. And Coco just walked in the room. She waved hi to you.
Oh, excellent. All right. Thank you, Randy. We appreciate your time.
Say hi to you.
Oh, hi.
How you doing, Coco?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Things are going great.
Yeah, I'm hearing. It's so wonderful. And I'm so glad that you guys are just having a wonderful time and making great music. And your father-in-law just told all of us the most remarkable story about how you and Tal saved his life. And I can tell you, it is so touching and so beautiful what your family, who you are, and what your family is.
Well, I owe it to him, right? And I have to, make sure he's well for, all Canadian fans and American fans and all the fans in the whole entire world. Otherwise, I'll be held accountable.
She's now carrying my next grandchild in her tummy right now.
Oh, great! That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much.
We'll have a new Bachman in December.
Wonderful, and he will be playing, or she, no doubt, within a few years.
You
awesome.
Bet. Hey, if you're at the concert, come and say hi. I'd love to meet you.
Love to meet you too, Randy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.